Hi friends, this is Caitlin and I'm so excited to share my first time trying out the Fawn platform pop-up die. I'm pairing it up with the Berry Special stamp set as well as doing some stenciling and using some of the Fawn pattern paper. And then this is that pop-up die itself. So I have the main die as well as the add-on. We're going to be using 2 of that big guy. I'm going to be cutting out 3 of this grassy piece as well as 3 of those T-shaped pieces. And then we'll be using the main background panel from the add-on. And if you have not already subscribed to the channel, please make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can join our crafty family and get some new card inspiration every Friday. I decided I really wanted to use this yellow gingham from the Gotta Have Gingham paper pack that just came out from Fawn. It's so bright and cheery, and these 6x6 pieces fit that large platform die perfectly. They have just enough room. So I cut 2 of those out of the paper, and I'll have all of my items that I used today, all of my supplies listed down in that description box for you. But I'm also going to use a piece of the green from the Watercolor Wishes Rainbow paper pack, and I wanted to play up the gradient that comes in this, so I am going to be lining up that grass so that it kind of crosses over the different shades of green that are on here. And you need 3 of those grassy pieces as well as 3 of those large tees. And the tees I'm just cutting out of plain white cardstock because those are going to be completely covered up by the grass when everything is done anyway. I really love how easily this die came together. I was concerned that it was gonna be a lot harder than it actually was, just from watching the Fawn videos. So I am cutting that backer panel from the add-on set out of Nina Solar White 80-pound cardstock because we're going to be doing some cloudy stenciling on it. And so I flipped it upside down and I'm just taping it into place with some washi tape so that it's easier to do my blending. And I'm going to be going in with a blending brush and the cloudy stencil from Fawn, which I absolutely love this stencil, and I think I had a little bit of leftover blue on my blending brush when I started because that first line is definitely a little darker than the rest of them, but that's okay because it can just be sky, a different sky color. So I'm going in with the Tumbled Glass Distress ink and starting on my stencil and then blending up off onto the paper. This just kind of helps to make sure that you get a really smooth blend and really helps to define that edge of where your stencil is. If you go the other way, sometimes it can kind of push or move the stencil around. And I also went right at the bottom to make sure that the clouds didn't just have a stark ending point. You really can't see this very much at the end with all of the other tiers in their positions, but it never hurts to go the extra step to make sure, just in case, from every angle, that it looks really nice. So the first step is going in and reinforcing all of the score lines that the die makes for you. And this was very easy. If you're having a hard time, you can also make sure that the scallops line up when you're folding those in. But in general, I didn't have a problem with folding these. It was really easy. I love that the die does this for you, so it's just one less thing you have to worry about. And then you also want to score the bottom tab on one of those T's, and I'm putting an X where I want my Scor-Tape to go. I'm starting out with using 1/4 inch Scor-Tape, and you put a piece of Scor-Tape on the bottom tab of that T, as well as this really skinny little tab that's next to the slot on your main piece, and you put that in there so that the tape is facing away from you on that T. Peel up your backer paper and you fold it and tape it right into place. All of these guidelines are also on the Fawn YouTube channel. That's where I watched first to kind of learn how to do this, and then you just kind of stair step that die up and put that second tab where it goes, and then you repeat the whole process over again. So I really thought watching this that it would be a little more confusing as far as where everything lines up, but as you're making it, it's more intuitive than I thought it would be. I really do love this platform, and I think for the impact that it gives when your card is done, it is 100% worth your time and effort to learn how to do this, because like I said, it was not that difficult, and it is so amazing when it's done. It's so much fun to pop this up and then flatten it back down. So that third tee, you trim off the bottom tab and you line it up with the other one so that they're nice and in the center, and glue that on with the same Scor-Tape. Then you add Scor-Tape to those little tabs and line them up, and then you can also add tape or liquid glue. I thought the tape was easier to that centerpiece because now we're going to put everything together. So you line up your edges and flip one tab over to start. Then you line up your middle sections and adhere those together so that all of your inside pieces are touching, and then put that last little tab, and again all of the scallops line up, so it's really easy to line those up. And then that's it. And I found that the more you kind of play with this, moving it around and opening and closing it, the easier it was. And then to make this part even easier, I grabbed 1/8 inch Scor-Tape and I used that to adhere my grass down. So that furthest back panel of grass, I didn't put flush to the bottom of my platform. I put it up a little bit, just kind of creating my own kind of stair step system, because I knew that I wanted my pieces, my little characters that are going to go on that back piece of grass, higher than the front. So I just kind of set myself up for success with that by putting my grass a little higher to start with. Now adding on this backer panel is also a breeze. I put a piece of that 1/8 inch Scor-Tape right across the back, and you literally just kind of pop it into place. And then I found that shutting the card and pressing it down was the easiest way to make sure it was adhered nicely. And then just like that, your whole little scene is ready to go and ready for characters. This was so much fun to make. And I am obsessed with the Lawn Fawn mice. So the second that I saw this very special stamp set, I knew that I was going to get it. I have all of the other mice stamp sets for all of the other holidays, and I am in love with them. So my favorite way to color the Lawn Fawn mice is with my W markers, my warm grays, and I like to give them a little bit of spotting on their booties. I just think that that's really cute and kind of gives a nice freckly look. I'm pretty sure that's not how real mice look, but it's how my mice look. So you can do whatever style makes you happy, but I just went in with some kind of simple shading on these guys, keeping their faces nice and bright, and adding in a few of those R markers on their ears. And then for my little mouse with his overalls, I decided to go in with my B90s to give kind of a denim look. And there are a ton of strawberries, obviously, in this set. So my strawberry color combo that I decided on was R29, R27, and R17. I really like the contrast that you get when you add in the 17. It is nice and bright and almost has like a coral or pink kind of hue to it that I really thought reminded me of a real strawberry. So obviously you can color these in whatever red combination that you love, but this one really worked out well for me. Because I wanted a really springy feel, I stuck with some YG markers for the stem parts of my strawberries, and I felt like my YG01 was a little too light and kind of washed out my contrast, so I went back in with my darker shade, but there isn't a ton of room here, so I felt like 2 markers was more than enough. I did add in a third green shade when it came to this long little patch of strawberries, just because the leaves definitely had a lot more room, and I am a sucker for a 3-color blend. So I did grab some of my G07 just to give a nice little bit of shadow and contrast, and I colored my strawberries the same way throughout, just so everything would be really nice and cohesive. And I love this set because it's great for obviously spring, but you could make this, I kind of turned mine into a love or like friendship card with the pick your own and then my sentiment that I tie in at the end. But you could make this a Mother's Day card, a Father's Day card, literally anything you want, a birthday card, and it would be absolutely adorable. So for my wooden sign and my little strawberry basket, I used some E30 markers, and just like all the supplies, I'll have the colors for everything that I use today listed in that description box below for you. I know that I speed these up a lot and it can be hard to kind of keep up with everything on the screen, so you can always check down there for more information. And I went in with my white jelly marker just to add in some highlights to my strawberries. This probably isn't the most realistic, but I think it's just an extra little fun touch and it makes me happy. So I love adding in that highlight. So I die cut out all of my little images, and I also cut a piece of white cardstock with the rectangle piercing piece that is made to fit on the front of this. This comes in that regular platform pop-up die set. So I decided to combine a couple sentiments here. So I used the "You Are Special" at the bottom, and I placed that at the bottom because I knew that I wanted to use the little berry add-on, which I did with a red ink. So now it says "You Are Very Special," and I wanted to have room for that. So I did that at the bottom first, and then I added the "I Pick You" to the top. So it is just kind of a sweet little sentiment. I pick you because you are very special, with the pick your own sign. I thought that all of that really worked lovely together, and I just love that color combination of the yellow and the red and the blue. You can't really go wrong with those kind of primary colors and that little pop of green. Everything on this just seems light and springy and fun to me. But also, don't get me wrong, I am very excited to use this platform for Halloween cards. I already have multiple in my head, but now it was time to kind of start building up my scene. So you can see I'm kind of just leaning my platform back and taking my time kind of placing my images. I added one of those trios of strawberries to its little basket, and now I'm just kind of having fun lining up my items up against those grassy kind of tiers that are sticking up, just so I could make sure that everything was going to be visible when this was all done. So I glued down the mouse that's taken a chomp out of a strawberry. I put him right in the front, and then I added a couple strawberries to that front section as well as the sign. In the end, I'm going to go back and add one of those single strawberries to that little area as well. But I think that this is great because the size of that grass really helps to hold up and support all of your images. I lined up the long strawberry patch piece there, the vines across that one whole section, which you could definitely do instead of the grass, but I wanted to make sure that, again, from any angle, that this would kind of make sense. Now I'm adding in one of those single strawberries to the front part of my sentiment, and then I'm going to add the other one, like I said, to that with that little trio and my sign, just kind of layering and tying everything in. I figured if I already had them all cut out, I might as well use them because they are too sweet to end up in my little trash bin. So like I said before too, with all of my images that go on this back row, I'm going to pop them up, and I think they would have been okay on their own, but I felt like I just wanted a little extra insurance on them. So you can see I'm cutting a little piece of scrap white cardstock. This is that 80-pound heavier, not heavy weight, but a good weight cardstock. And I am going to place my little images down on the grass first, and then go in with those extra little tabs that I cut out and just glue them to my image and the grass, so they have just a little bit extra reinforcement to really make sure that they stay up and stay nice and straight. The weight of them at the tippy top of that grass, because it is grass shaped and has more texture to it, I just wanted to make sure that there was really good adhesion there. So I added my little overall mouse with the basket, and then added the little mouse that's carrying all of the strawberries together on the other side there, just like they're kind of busy collecting while that one up in the front is busy eating and kind of undoing all of their hard work. Filming this was interesting, trying to get those angles, but it really was pretty easy to put together. Having to kind of work in this direction is definitely different for me, but it was not hard to do. And you could always go in with some reverse tweezers if you wanted to. But again, I felt that folding it down and kind of pressing everything together really helped to make sure it was nice and secure. And I am so in love with how this turned out. I hope that you're feeling super inspired. If you've been intimidated by an interactive die like this, I really hope that you take this as your sign to try them out. I recommend this 10 out of 10. I think with a little practice, anyone can do it. I hope that you're feeling super inspired. I am so grateful that you came to hang out with me today. I hope that you have an amazing week. And as always, happy crafting.